match d'aujourd'hui. Representing the visiting team of Mexico, the starters in their batting order. Représentant l'équipe visiteur du Mexique, les joueurs partant dans leur ordre des frappeurs. Jonathan Cardona, number 19, numéro 19, center field, chanson. Enrique Gomez. Enrique Gomez, numéro 1, number 1, shortstop, arrêt court. Heroldo Borquez, number 25, numéro 25, catcher, receveur. Daniel Durazo, first base, premier but, number 23, numéro 23. Rafael Alvarez, number 7, numéro 7, third base, troisième but. José Garcia, number 12, numéro 12, designated player, joueur désigné. César Marquez, number 3, numéro 3, left field, champ gauche. Enrique Gonzalez, second base, deuxième but, number 24, numéro 24. Candelario Ortega, number 28, numéro 28, right field, champ droit. Adrián Olaes, number 22, numéro 22, pitcher, lanceur. For Team Mexico, substitutes for the games are, les joueurs substituts sont Miguel Ureta, number 18, numéro 18. Jonathan Rodriguez, numéro 8, number 8. Arnaldo Villaviz, Chencio, number 33, numéro 33. Carlos Marquez, number 20, numéro 20. Orlando Piedra, number 9, numéro 9. César Delox, number 29, numéro 29. José Rojas, number 55, numéro 55. Head coach, entraîneur-chef Horacio Perrones, and the rest of the team staff et le reste du personnel de l'équipe. Representing the home team of Canada, the starters in their batting order. Représentant l'équipe à domicile du Canada, les joueurs partant dans l'ordre de frappeur. Tyler Pauli, number 20, numéro 20, right field, champ droit. Nick Penner, numéro 11, number 11, shortstop, arrêt court. Taylor Shubaga, number 29, numéro 29, left field, champ gauche. François René, numéro 15, number 15, catcher, receveur. Curtis Pikaway, numéro 24, number 24, third base, troisième but. Josh Elliott, number 10, numéro 10, designated player, joueur désigné. Matt Pilon, numéro 25, number 25, center field, chanson. Johnny Baker, number 8, numéro 8, first base, premier but. Tyson Zur, number 30, numéro 30, second base, deuxième but. Marc-André Villeneuve, numéro 77, number 77, pitcher, lanceur. For Team Canada, substitutes for the games are, les joueurs substituts sont Justin Boyer, number 7, Justin Gainey, number 9, Eric Healy, number 12, Matt Wardrop, number 55, Samuel Bédard Desmarins, number 5, numéro 5, Zach Mackay, number 16, numéro 16, Tyler Anderson, numéro 72, The umpires for today's game. Les arbitres du match d'aujourd'hui. Home plate umpire from the United States, arbitre au marque des États-Unis, David Hardage. First base umpire from Australia, arbitre au premier but de l'Australie, Jason Carter. Second base umpire from Japan, arbitre au deuxième but du Japon, Motoichi Ueda. Third base umpire from the Czech Republic, arbitre au troisième but de la République tchèque, Vladimir Lis. In honor of good sportsmanship, the players will now shake hands. Par l'honneur de l'esprit sportif, les joueurs se donneront maintenant la main. Thank you, merci. Au jeu, play ball.
Live from the Pepsi Center in Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada, you're watching the 10th ISF Junior Men's World Championships of Softball. From the Ballpark Radio broadcast crew, I'm Jim Flanagan here with my broadcast colleague, Joe Todd. We'll be with you for this 5 o'clock scheduled start, 5 o'clock Pacific time. Right here on Sports Canada TV, this one featuring Canada. They are fresh off a first-round consolation bracket win over Singapore. They will be taking on Mexico. Canada finishing pool play as the number 7 team. Mexico the number 6 team. What separates them is a pool play win by Mexico over Canada. We'll get to some of the details from that one, revisit that, but a little bit of rain starting to fall here in Whitehorse. Canada is on the field. They are the home squad. We'll run through the batting order for Mexico. It'll be Jonathan Cardona leading off, playing in center field. Enrique Gonzalez batting second, playing in short. Heroldo Borquez catching, batting third. Daniel Durazo will play first, bat cleanup. Rafael Alvarez at third base, batting fifth. Yossi Garcia, the DP, batting sixth. Cesar Marquez batting seventh and playing left. Enrique Gonzalez at second base batting eighth. And Candelario Ortega in right field batting ninth. Audael Olais is the pitcher. He will not bat. Right now, the first pitch just about ready. And it is down in the dirt. It is Cardona at the plate. Setting Canada for you defensively. Out in left field, it'll be Taylor Shibata. In center, Matt Pilon. Tyler Paulai out in right. Curtis Pike away at third. Nick Penner at short. Tyson Zaire at second. And Johnny Baker over at first. The battery for Team Canada. Behind the plate, Francois Charles René and his counterpart in the circle. With the start, Marc-Andre Villeneuve. That's what it looks like here. Just underway. Consolation bracket, single elimination games. The winner will advance to the final tomorrow. The loser eliminated. Joe Todd, welcome.
Thank you, James. Both these teams with a 4-5 record in the pool play, but Mexico getting the 6th place spot based on their victory on Wednesday with a 5-2 margin over Canada.
We'll get a few more details on that game, Joe. Curious myself, I didn't have that game. Swing and a miss, down on strikes goes Cardona, first out of the game, first strikeout for Villeneuve. Canada, many would say, not playing up to expectations. They were in some of the pre-tournament predictions to be in the medal round. They have surrendered a good number of runs. Last Sunday night, it was a wild win for Canada over Team USA. Canada entered the final inning leading 7-1. The USA rallied for 7 runs to tie and take the lead, only to have Team Canada come back in the bottom half for the 9-8 win. That game set both of those teams in different directions. Ironically, oddly, Canada going on to lose 3 in a row. The USA going on to win 3 in a row.
Now the sun's starting to shine. You never know what kind of weather you're going to get here in Whitehorse.
Borquez the batter. Down at first, Enrique Gonzalez on the hit by pitch. Borquez among the offensive leaders. He and Durazo are the run producers on this Mexico club. And as you can see, the sun's starting to shine again. The rain stops, something we see often in Whitehorse. On my way out to grab my raincoat, someone said, don't bother, it'll stop in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Apparently the local folks know the weather. Durazo on deck with 4 home runs. He was among the leaders, I think, right at the top of the heap in home runs, 3 of those coming in one game. So good power in this part of the order. And Villeneuve can't find the zone. 2 free passes. Enrique Gonzalez will move down to second base. Borquez to first. And that will bring up the aforementioned Daniel Durazo.
So many games this week, Jim, were dictated on the outcome of the first inning. So it's important that Canada shuts this door here.
Last night, of course, that was exactly the case. Australia notching a handful of runs over the USA, never looking back. One hopper to third, nice play. Throw across the diamond in time to get Durazo. Nice defensive play by Curtis Pikeaway of Team Canada. Side retired on the double play. 5 unassisted over at third on Gonzalez. That is the end of the top of the first inning. At the end of a half inning, no score in this one. We'll be right back with more.
There were no runs on no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. With the score Mexico 0 and Canada 0. Et voilà le 3e retrait qui met fin au début de la première manche. Il n'y avait aucun point sur aucun coup sûr, aucune erreur et un coup, pardonnez-moi, laissé sur les buts. Avec le pointage Mexico 0, Mexique 0 et Canada 0. Oh boy.
Just underway in this consolation matchup, Canada and Mexico. The batting order for the home team, Canada. Tyler Pauli will play right field, bat first. Nick Penner at short, batting second. Playing in left field, batting third, Taylor Shibata. Batting cleanup and catching, Francois Charles Rene. Batting fifth and playing at third base, Curtis Pikeaway. Batting sixth in the DP slot, Josh Elliott. Batting seventh in center, Matt Pilon. Batting eighth and playing at first base, Johnny Baker. And Tyson Zaire batting ninth and playing at second base. Not batting, listed in the flex position on the scorecard, the pitcher Marc-Andre Villeneuve. We'll set the defense for Mexico in a moment. Right now, it'll be Tyler Pauli to step in.
Pauli, 13 for 28, the number 2 hitter in pool play. 2 doubles, 1 triple, and 2 home runs.
So one of the big bright spots in the Team Canada offense has been Tyler Pauli.
Batting average of 464.
I would think that would put him right up among the leaders. Last time I checked, number 2, says our colleague Joe Todd. One of a stable of sorts of great leadoff hitters. That's the one spot in the order we have paid special attention to in our broadcasts. Vincent Harris of New Zealand, another. Tio Migliavaca for Argentina. Bryce Ducharme of the USA. There's a whole bunch of them. The engines that make the offense go. The defense for Mexico, Cesar Marquez in left, Jonathan Cardona in center, Candelario Ortega in right field, Rafael Alvarez at third, Enrique Gomez at short, Enrique Gonzalez at second, Daniel Durazo at first. Liner into the corner. Pauli has done it again. He's going to stop at third.
It'd be a ground rule double, Jim. It bounced over the fence.
I thought that might be the case, kind of a long look from where we are, but Pauli with that great speed, he was already around to third base. He'll head back to second. So just like that, Tyler Pauli continuing his offensive onslaught, a double to right. The rest of the defense for Team Mexico behind the plate, Aroldo Borquez. And in the circle, the very stylish Audiel Olais. You may have seen the sort of iconic picture on the Flickr webpage for the tournament. You'll note during the course of the broadcast that right leg coming up behind him, hands right at the batter. And then the back foot, the right foot almost coming up behind him to his waist. Sort of like a matador ole. That one goes to the screen, so Pauli gets third anyway.
Very unique pitching style.
He's been very effective. He and Miguel Ureta have done very well for Mexico. Ureta, of course, the opening day 0-0 game with Argentina going into the tiebreaker 8th before Argentina came away with a win. So Mexico can play with the best of them. Their 4 wins over Singapore, Denmark, the Czech Republic, and Canada. The losses to the 4 medal round teams, Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, Japan. Can't handle it at short, gets by Gomez. Into second, sliding, is going to be out. Nick Penner, but the RBI. And Tyler Pauli coming home to score. A tough chance. He tried to short hop it, couldn't handle it. Joe, the official scoring?
I gave it a single. It was a very hard hit ball. Enrique Gomez had a chance at it, but went hard off the bat of Nick Penner.
We've talked about the Enriques. That is Enrique Gomez and Enrique Gonzalez up the middle. They are as good as any 2 middle infielders. Fly ball to right field. Under it is Ortega for the out. So Taylor Shibata retired. But Gomez unable to handle the hard smash from Penner. And Nick with the RBI. Francois Charles Rene at the plate.
Rene catching today. Usually Taylor Shibata's been back there, but we're giving Shibata a release, a little bit of a rest. Shibata caught the game against Singapore this morning.
It's an awful lot of games to be down in a crouch position. We started this tournament way back on July 11. Now on the second to last day on Elimination Saturday. Swing and a miss, comes up empty. I think 3 of the better games Mexico played, that Argentina opener we mentioned. Also the game against Team USA, they were down 6-1. Came back to tie, and the USA had to go extras to beat them as well. And then the win over Canada. Hard smash, Durazo. Drops it, picks it up, steps on the bag, side retired. For Canada in the first, they get a run on a couple of hits. We'll go to the top of the second. Canada on top, 1-0.
Which ends the first inning. There were 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. At the end of the inning, the score is Canada 1 and Mexico 0. Et voilà le 3e retrait qui termine la première manche. Il y avait 1 but sur 2 coups sûrs, aucune erreur et aucun coureur laissé sur les buts. À la fin de la manche, le pointage est Canada 1 et le Mexique 0. Here we go. That's number 7. For your safety, please be aware that softballs can be thrown and hit into the stands during the play and travel at a higher rate of speed. Do not throw the ball back onto the field of play. Return them to the box behind home plate. Pour votre sécurité, veuillez être conscient que durant le jeu, des balles de softball peuvent être lancées et frappées.
For Mexico in the top of the second inning, they'll send up 5, 6, 7. That'll be Alvarez, Garcia, and Marquez. But Joe Todd, a score update from Field 1 in the medal round.
8-3 for Japan over Australia. They're now in the bottom of the 4th inning with 2 out. So 8-4, 8-3 for Japan over Australia.
Joe, I had a chance to see part of that game in between our broadcast, and it was at one point 8-0 early. Japan scored 3 in the first, 5 more in the second. Actually looked like the mirror image of last night's game when Australia jumped out to the big lead over the USA and never looked back.
Again, we talked about the dominance of the importance of that first inning. Japan showing that over Australia in that game.
Rafael Alvarez will step in for Mexico. What was it, Sparky Anderson, the Tigers and Reds old manager used to say, every 24 hours the world turns over on somebody that was sitting on top. And Australia had their way with the USA last night. So far in the early going, Japan having their way over Australia. 4th inning, you said, Joe?
4th inning, bottom of 4. Rafael Alvarez batting .292 here, 7 for 24. Not the number 1 hitter, but number 2, right behind Enrique Gomez.
Has been one of their top hitters through the season. He hails from the Baja Peninsula, just south of San Diego, California.
I love the way this guy plays.
Very steady hands, very patient at the plate. Usually when I say things like that, they'll show me wrong.
He's a complete ball player. He's got the whole package.
Joe, you've seen Canada a bit more than I. I know we talk about Randerson and Wardrop.
Villeneuve, ranging from the Quebec area, both him and Francois Charles Rene, both out of the Quebec League, junior leagues. Wardrop is probably your number one. Randerson Wardrop might be your 1A, and Randerson might be your 1B, but Villeneuve not too far away from that. And is Eric Healy also in that pitching staff. But Villeneuve, the left-hander there.
Deep fly ball to left field, going back, will not have room. Home run, Rafael Alvarez. Mexico on top, or even at 1.
Big, strong punch out there by Alvarez. Ball got a little lazy over the plate. Alvarez took it for a long ride.
Well, he got him to go up the elevator, and one of the strikes that he swung at was a little bit up and out of the zone. I thought he would take him up a bit higher, but running the count full, came back in with a too good a pitch, and just like that, Mexico even at 1. At the plate, Yossi Garcia, he is the DP today. I think through pool play, Mexico had something on the order of 13 home runs. I believe they led the tournament in that category. Durazo, we mentioned, with 4 of those. Plenty of power. Joe, lots of great young talent coming out of the province of Quebec. Villeneuve and Rene among them. Certainly Matthew Waugh in the senior men's circuit comes to mind.
One of them, the Francois Charles Rene, used Matthew Waugh as his favorite ball player. So in the bios that we are submitted.
That's how it starts at the junior level. They see the senior men's players. They take note, learn from them, and find themselves here at the ISF Worlds. Meanwhile, down on strikes is Garcia. Cesar Marquez at the plate. Looked like on his way back to the dugout, Garcia said something to our home plate umpire. Didn't catch what that was all about. It was a swinging strike, maybe asking, was it a strike that he swung at?
And the umpire's obvious question is yes.
Down on strikes. That is strikeout number 2, by the way, for Villeneuve in the early going. A deep pitching staff, Canada coming in with high hopes into Whitehorse. Those expectations perhaps not quite realized. Into the corner, that one's going to be foul.
Villeneuve has to keep that ball down. Has to start pitching a few more drop balls, a few more changeups. This hard-hitting Mexico team can drive that ball out of the ballpark, as we showed with those 13 home runs.
Canada good enough to beat the USA in pool play. That was a wild one we talked about, that 9-8 one. But not able to sustain the wins as they headed down the stretch towards the medal round. The USA, Joe, I'd have to say probably exceeding expectations, finishing 5-4 and playing last night for a shot in the medal round. They were not listed among the teams predicted to be there. High fly ball, it's playable out in center. Matt Pilon for the catch and the out.
Being a true Canadian in my pregame show, I picked Canada to win it all, Jim. Remember that?
Well, I have to confess, the video is there. I can't hide from it. I had Canada amongst the 4 I thought would be there. I knew they'd get a big lift from the hometown crowd here, and they certainly have in Whitehorse. Just a few too many runs surrendered. That's my view from the games I've seen. Enrique Gonzalez at the plate. They've got him hitting in the 8th spot today. Through most of the tournament, it's been the Enriquez, Gonzalez, and Gomez up at the 1 and 2 spots. Great defense, have not been generating too much in the way of offense, though. shows or throws bunt, I suppose you could say. Bat slips away. That will be out of play. Pretty good crowd on hand here, Joe, for the consolation round. I thought we would be broadcasting to some empty seats today. Of course, the medal round games just across the way on field one, but at the moment, Japan seemingly running away from Australia.
Canada does have a huge following here. The people in Whitehorse have very supported this program and this tournament and Team Canada all week.
So the Whitehorse faithful plus the traveling squad for Team Canada. It's a large group. Two balls, two strikes. The count on Gonzalez. We're in the second. 2 out, 1 run in on the homer from Alvarez. We're tied at 1.
Has to be at least the third batter now that Marc-Andre Villeneuve has gone to a full count, throwing a lot of pitches here early in the game.
Swing and a miss, good location. Villeneuve slapping his glove as he heads to the dugout. That's the pitch he wanted. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 3 in the game for Marc-Andre Villeneuve. Mexico, 1 run, 1 hit. The big one from Alvarez. We'll head to the home half of the second. We're tied at 1.
With the score, Mexico 1 and Canada 1. This event would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors and funding partners, including our premier sponsor, Pepsi, and the government of the Yukon.
Home half of the second for Canada, but before we get to that, Joe, tell us about our ISF Junior Men's umpire crew.
Doing home plate today, David Hardage from the United States. At first base, Jason Carter from Australia. At second base, Motoishi Ueda from Japan. At third base, Vladimir List from the Czech Republic. And on the 22nd clock this afternoon, Abel Chapa from Mexico.
For Canada, it's 5, 6, 7, Pikeway, Elliott, and Pilon. At the plate right now, Curtis Pikeway. It was Pikeway's play back in the first, nifty defensive play, turning in 2, that got Villeneuve out of that inning. Just underway in this one, if you joined us late, 1-1 tie here, Canada and Mexico. The winner goes straight to the final of the consolation bracket tomorrow. The loser eliminated.
Elias was involved in 6 games through pool play, 2 starts, 24 innings pitched, gave up 35 hits, 9 walks on 9 strikeouts.
Several relief appearances in addition to those starts, not starting the second inning the way he wanted to. Pikeway works the walk. So for the second inning in a row, Canada getting their leader on. In the first, it was Pauli with the leadoff ground rule double. He came in to score on Nick Penner's single. At the plate, Josh Elliott, the DP. Corner's coming. He shows bunt. Durazo over at first with that sideways hat. I'm not sure if that's the sun coming in on that side or just for style points.
Yeah.
Corner's coming, shows bunt, pulls back. So Mexico trying to take the bunt away. It's Alvarez coming from third, Durazo coming from first. You want the corner infielders fielding the ball, not your pitcher. Olais has to give him something to put down, Joe, or he's going to wind up with another free pass.
Exactly. Josh Elliott's got good patience there at the plate. Josh Elliott should also be aware of the movement of the corners.
Swinging, two-hopper to second, over to first. The Enrique boys, Gomez and Gonzalez, turn in yet another double play. Soft hands, nicely done.
You'd almost think they were brothers the way they play out the infield.
I had a chat with one of the coaches from the Australia squad that came away very impressed. He says you don't turn that many double plays unless you've been doing it a while. The batter, Matt Pilon, the center fielder. Joe, what's the book on Pilon?
Pilon, just a power hitter, but he likes to punch the singles, and he'll have a tendency to go more center into left field.
Pretty good gap in right center. Right fielder Ortega shaded just a little bit towards the foul line. Jonathan Cardona playing straight away, maybe a step towards left. So the gap is right center.
It's probably okay.
Little nubber fielded by Borquez, fires a strike. Not in time.
Good wheels going down that line by Matt Pilon. Ball bouncing just in front of the plate. Geraldo Borquez picked it up on the second bounce, but unable to throw out the speedy Pilon at first base.
Pretty high hop at home. Borquez having to wait just a second or two extra. And Pilon able to get down the line. He is aboard at first with two out. Johnny Baker will step in. Baker had a home run earlier in the tournament, Joe?
Yes, I believe it was the second game or the third game of the tournament. He pounded a long way. I believe it went out and hit one of those trees. It cleared over the high fence.
So good power in the 8 spot for Canada. Olais with a nice changeup. Much like the Denmark-Czech Republic game we had earlier today, these two teams seem very evenly matched. As Joe said, both finishing pool play with 4 and 5 records. To Durazo, he'll step on the bag. Side retired. For Canada in the second, no runs, a hit, a man left. We'll head to the top half of the third inning. We're tied at 1 on single elimination Saturday consolation round.
On one hit, no errors, and one man left on base. The score is Mexico 1 and Canada 1. Et voilà le troisième retrait qui termine la deuxième manche. Il n'y avait aucun point sur un coup sûr, aucune erreur et un coureur laissé sur les buts. À la fin de la manche, le pointage est Mexique 1 et Canada 1. So when it's tied like that, it doesn't matter which one I say first.
Well, we have a moment. If you'll indulge me, we want to say hello in Spanish to our Spanish-speaking viewers, and there are many. When the viewer totals came out midweek, Mexico was third, right behind Argentina and Canada. So plenty of folks out there. Hola, soy Jim Flanagan del Ballpark Radio. Bienvenidos a nuestros amigos de habla hispana en México y alrededor del mundo. Estamos felices de que nos acompañen en esta transmisión a través de Sports Canada TV. Simply welcome.
Very well done.
And speaking of Mexico, here we go in the third. It'll be 9-1-2, starting off with Candelario Ortega. Ortega with very good speed. Another of the long line of 9 hitters, doubling as a second leadoff hitter of sorts. hard one right by shortstop Nick Penner. And Ortega never breaks stride, slides in safely. The throw coming in behind and just a little bit offline.
Don't bobble the ball against this Mexico team. All of them love to run.
No chance at short for Penner. That was a hard hit ball, found its way just to the left of him. Ortega will hand off some of the body armor to one of the local youngsters. The Bat Boy program here, a very popular one in Whitehorse. Each of the teams adopting a Bat Boy or two. I've seen some of them walking around with the team's uniform parts on, and they are simply delighted to be out there. It's a large following of fastball fans here in Whitehorse, starting with the young ones. We're up to the top of the order again. It's Cardona showing bunt. Corners closing. One tie. Ortega on to lead things off in the third. He's out at second base.
Good shot there of the third base coach throwing signs to Cardona.
Foul tip. I believe that is the skipper for Mexico, Horacio Berrones. Mexico likes to trade places, seems like every other inning, so without the uniform numbers, it's hard to keep track of them, but Berrones is the skipper of Mexico, and a fine one.
Got those red hoodies on, the numbers aren't exposed either, so.
Down on strikes goes Cardona. Not able to advance the runner, Joe. That's a spot Mexico would like to have put Ortega to third, and you would expect your leadoff hitter to be able to do that.
Yes, you have to learn to be able to willing to sacrifice your time at the plate and to advance that runner down to even, he's going to score from second on a single, but there's many other ways of scoring from third base with just one out.
8 ways to Sunday or Saturday, as is the case. At the plate is Enrique Gonzalez. He was aboard in the first on a hit batter. I would think still looking to move the runner. Maybe a slap. That's what it is. The 3 batters to follow are the run producers, Borges, Durazo, and Alvarez.
Gomez batting .318, 7 for 22 in pool play.
And Gomez down on strikes. I may have said Gonzalez. There are 2 Enriques, not brothers, but maybe brothers of a different kind. Borges will be the batter. 2 outs. Villeneuve doing a good job of notching the outs on his own. Ortega still at second base. Villeneuve in the toughest part of the Mexico order, all 3, 4, 5, very capable hitters. Swing and it goes to the screen. Ball past Francois Charles Rene. Pass ball, Joe?
Pass ball, yes.
So Ortega finally gets to third. No help from the Mexico offense in that process, though.
Borges had 2 hits in the game against Canada on Wednesday against Matt Wardrope as the starter.
In the dirt, hits the shin guard, and dead ball, I think they're saying. Or did it hit Borges? It
hit Borges up in the shin.
Okay. So Borges down to first on the hit batter. Mexico's coach out. Meanwhile, Canada will take advantage of the opportunity to have their own little discussion out in the circle. Coming on to run a pinch runner for Borges, Joe.
Just the 2 out for the catcher. Enrique Gomez, the second out of the inning, or the last available batter, will be going in to run for Borquez.
Last available, distinguished from what some people think is the case, the last out. It is last available, sometimes distinguished. The batter is Durazo, great power, 4 home runs in the tournament. First and third for Mexico with 2 out. Not really in a position where you can pitch around Durazo, though, with Alvarez on deck. He's already got a home run today. Hard grounder to third. Pike away. Over to first to Johnny Baker, side retired. Looked like he might have taken a little off that one, Joe.
Yeah, he tried to throw a off-speed pitch, and Durazo went for it. Threw a high bouncer over to Pike away, but Pike away grounded it cleanly and gunned him out at first base for the third out.
So Mexico in the third gets the leadoff runner to second, can't get him home. We'll head to the home half. The score tied at 1, Canada and Mexico.
Et voilà le troisième retrait qui met fin au début de la troisième manche. Il y avait 0 point sur, 0 point sur 1 coup sûr, aucune erreur et 2 coureurs laissés sur les buts. Avec le pointage Mexique 1 et Canada 1. Leading off for Canada, premier au bâton pour le Canada, numéro 30.
Bottom of the third for Canada. Joe, any update from the other field, Japan, Australia?
8-3 for Japan over Australia. They're in the top of the 6th inning.
So the last report, the score was 8-3 as well. That came earlier in the 4th. Japan just a couple of innings away from moving on, and Australia on the brink of elimination. For Team Canada, it's 9-1-2. It'll be Tyson Zaire. He'll be followed by Tyler Pauli and then Nick Penner. First pitch swinging as Zaire lifts one into shallow right field. Coming on to make the catch, fighting off the sun, is Candelario Ortega.
Zaire got half of that ball and half of that bat. Would have got a lot deeper, would have got more meat on it, but he will learn on that and take him to school on that next time.
So here's Tyler Pauli getting his second look at Audael Olais. Pauli, a double to start things off in the first. He came home to score that lone run for Canada, coming in on Nick Penner's RBI single. Pauli, we mentioned, one of the top hitters in the tournament. Swings it, drives it to center field. A couple 3 steps over to his right as Cardona makes the catch. So a couple of fly outs, and quickly Olais has notched a couple of outs in the third.
Just the type of inning that Mexico is looking for. Trying to limit the quantity of pitches that Olais has to throw.
Nick Penner, his second look at Olais, hit a ball hard right past the shortstop his first time up. Good pop in that bat, pretty good power in the 2 spot for Canada. Nick, as you can see, his feet, that closed stance. Borquez trying to set up outside on him. If we can get a camera on Penner's feet. Three hopper to second, over to first, side retired. Easy inning for Olais. We played 3. We're tied at 1. We'll be right back with more action from Whitehorse.
No runs on no hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. At the end of the inning, the score is Canada 1 and Mexico 1. Et voilà le troisième retrait qui termine la troisième manche. Il n'y avait aucun point sur aucun coup sûr, aucune erreur et aucun coureur laissé sur les buts. fin de manche, le pointage est Mexique 1 et Canada 1. Air North Yukon's airline is the official airline of the 2014 Junior Men's World Softball Championship. Visit flyairnorth.com to book all of your travel. Leading off for Mexico, premier au bâton pour Mexique, numéro 7, number 7, third base, troisième but, Rafael Alvarez.
To the top of the fourth we go for Mexico. It'll be 5, 6, and 7. Alvarez, he'll be followed by Garcia, and then Cesar Marquez. Alvarez, of course, the solo home run. That is the lone run for Mexico thus far. A very seasoned fastballer for his young age. Alvarez, as we said, from Baja California, has played in some California tournaments, as have a number of the junior and senior men's players. A hard one to straightaway center. That one's going to take one hop, hit the fence, and bounce back to Pilon. And into second with a stand-up double is Rafael Alvarez.
Alvarez hit a rope off of Villeneuve there. Great way to start the inning here. We're at the top of the fourth inning. Our leadoff batter, Alvarez, cracks a double.
Joe, I thought I recognized Alvarez when I came to Whitehorse, and I had a chat with him, and sure enough, he had played in the California Classic that we broadcast every year down in San Diego. Already well developed as a hitter. Here's Garcia. Shows bunt, gets it down, a good one, fielded by Villeneuve. Over to Tyson Zaire covering on the play. So a nicely executed sacrifice by Garcia sends Alvarez to third.
Number 3, left field, Cesar Marquez.
So they had the leadoff batter on to second base last inning. Nobody out, couldn't get him home. Now Alvarez at third with one out. They try and bunt and don't execute.
I don't know if that was a suicide squeeze or not. I'm trying to watch Alvarez down the line. He only took about 4 or 5 steps there.
I think maybe a bit of miscommunication because Alvarez didn't appear to be going anywhere. And with only one out, I would have expected Marquez to just swing it. Infield in to try and cut off the run. Deep center field. Back goes Pilon. Off the fence. Jogging home with run number 2. Alvarez into second with a double. Cesar Marquez.
2 doubles this inning has given Mexico the lead. Rafael Alvarez starts it off with a double, and now Cesar Marquez follows it up with another one.
Joe, I still don't know what to make of that earlier bunt attempt by Marquez. Obviously some pop in his bat. They turn him loose, and that'll bring a visit to the circle from the skipper for Canada. Joe, that's
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
I'm sure there's some action. We don't have visible lines here for the bullpen, but
maybe I can stick my head out the window. Looks like number 12. Is that Randerson?
12 is Eric Healy.
Healy. So Eric Healy down on the third base line getting some warm-up tosses. For Mexico, the batter is Enrique Gonzalez. Alvarez started the inning with the double, sacrificed to third, comes home on the double by Cesar Marquez. Gonzalez, a strikeout victim against Villeneuve, his first time to the plate. So Mexico continuing to show why they were a team that no one wanted to take lightly. I think they turned heads with that zip-zip game against Argentina. Change up, swing and miss. Going to third, the throw gets by The shortstop on to score is Marquez easily. It was Penner coming over to cover on the somewhat of a delayed steal, Joe.
Yes. Marquez took off on a delayed steal. And Marquez and Penner got a little tangled up there at third base.
Tough play for the shortstop, having to come all the way from his position over. He got a pretty good jump off the bag and beat him there. Jim Jones is going to argue it now. Our third base umpire, Joe?
Vladimir List from the Czech Republic.
So skipper of Canada, Jim Jones, having a conversation with Liss. I think he's motioning as if to say he pushed him or pushed off, Joe?
Well, I believe so, and he's saying that Nick Penner had the possession of the ball there.
So the conference with the umpires, Joe, who do we have there? Motoichi Ueda, Liss, David Hardage, our home plate umpire, and one more.
And our second base umpire, third base umpire would be Jason Carter from Australia, from first base sneaking in.
So they're going to talk about it, so a break in the action. At the moment, at least, Mexico with 2 more runs in the inning. That extends their lead to 3-1. Scoreboard shows 2-1, but Sports Canada TV right on the money. They've got it already at 3-1. And it looks like they are going to reverse the call, Joe?
No, they're going to keep it as we stand. That run will score. They're saying that Penner obviously didn't have possession of the ball then. So the runner has, if the fielder does not have possession of the ball, the runner has full contact to that bag.
Much to the displeasure of the Canadian fans here, Jim Jones is going to continue to argue it with David Hardage, the plate umpire.
It's more of a decision of who had the possession of the ball and the timing of the whole play. They made their decision. We're moving on.
So Mexico with its second run of the inning, third now. It's a 3-1 ball game in the fourth. Still 1 out, and still Enrique Gonzalez at the plate. Slow roller to third. He'll have to hurry in time.
Good gun there by Curtis Pikeaway. Took 2 or 3 bounces, but Pikeaway has a really good arm. Fired over there for the second out of the inning.
Some nice defense on display by Curtis Pikeaway. It was Curtis that turned that double play back in the first. At the plate, the 9-hitter, Candelario Ortega, he doubled in the third. So a home run and a handful of doubles has been the Mexico offense. It's been good for 3 runs. Mark Andrew Villeneuve, the starter, still in the circle. As we said, Eric Healy down on the sideline throwing. We'll see how much longer Jim Jones lets Villeneuve go.
All getting a little high in that strike zone, which is a good sign that the pitcher is starting to lose a little bit of velocity on his pitches.
Fatigue a factor for all the pitchers here on day 9. From my experience, Joe, I think what happens when you get fatigued, the stride shortens and the location goes astray. Villeneuve has found the mark, though, comes back with a couple of strikes. Now the count full on Ortega. Little roller, it'll be foul. So a good crowd here in Whitehorse. Lots of Canadian fans hoping their team can come back against Mexico and make their way to the final of the consolation round. In for called strike 3. So Villeneuve, after going 3-0 on Ortega, comes back to strike him out. Side retired, but 2 more runs on 2 more hits for Mexico. We'll head to the home half of the 4th inning. The score, Mexico 3, Canada 1.
Qui met fin au début de la 4e manche. Il y avait 2 points sur 2 coups sûrs, une erreur et aucun coureur laissé sur les buts. Avec le pointage Mexique 3 et Canada 1. Air North, la voie aérienne du Yukon, est la voie aérienne officielle du championnat du monde de softball junior masculin 2014. Visitez flyairnorth.com pour réserver tous vos vols.
Home half of the 4th inning for Canada. 3-4-5, Shibata, Charles Rene, and Curtis Pikeaway. Canada on the short end of a 3-1 score right now. Looking down the right field line, we can see one of Mexico's other pitchers up. That is Miguel Ureta. Ureta with the 7 scoreless innings against unbeaten Argentina. He and Olais have shared a good portion of the pitching duties for Mexico. Olais looking very strong so far, but no tomorrow for Mexico, so they get Ureta up.
Canada has to get the bats going.
Shibata fly out to right field in his first trip to the plate.
Everybody thought that coming into this tournament, the hitting and the offense was going to be one of the assets of this team, but they seem to not produce up here in Whitehorse.
Fly ball left field. One hop off the fence. The ball fielded by Cesar Marquez into second to lead things off in the 4th. A stand-up double for Taylor Shibata.
Shibata's a big stroker here for Canada. Shibata's usually a catcher, but obviously with his bat, they have to keep him in the lineup somewhere. They're putting him out in left field today.
So Canada, for the 3rd time in 4 innings, gets the leadoff man aboard. Stepping in now will be Francois Charles Rene. A little tapper to first in his first trip to the plate. Durazo fielding it.
Canada had back-to-back hits back in the 1st inning, and they produced a run. Got to do that same replicate here.
Swing and a miss. Joe, any thoughts of a bunt here to move him over?
No, you're down 2 runs now. That runner scoring in scoring position now, so I'll take that.
Let him swing it.
Yep.
Grounder to second. They go to third. The tag. Out is Shibata.
A little bit of a base running error. You have to make sure that that ball was on the right side of the infield, but Shibata was only, Enrique Gonzalez was only about 10 feet away from the base runner, Taylor Shibata. Shibata has to stay at that bag, force the out at first. Francois Charles Rene gets on by fielder's choice at first base.
So Mexico's defense once again comes into play. Rather than taking the out at first, aggressively Gonzalez going over to third. The ball getting there well ahead of Shibata. As Joe said, normally a catcher. A step or 3 later than the ball.
Alvarez.
Looks like he may have gotten cleated. I think that's what they're going to check. Can we get a, oh, we already have a camera.
You asked it, we deliver. Great camera staff there on Sports Canada TV, showing us right in on that.
We've had some bang-bang defensive plays over at third base, lots of activity. Just to recap, Shibata starting off the inning with a double. The ball hit to the right side of the infield. Looked like it was going to move the runner over, but Enrique Gonzalez coming up quickly with the ball, fires a strike to third, and Canada now with a runner at first and one out. Curtis Pikeaway will be the hitter. Any second thoughts about that, about bunting him, Joe, or just you don't want to bunt your cleanup hitter with a runner in scoring position?
Exactly. Canada has to gain some momentum here and get on a roll. Scoring one run, yes, it might get you back in the game. You're only down the one, but they need to find something that's going to tag them up and score, at least tie the game, or got to take the momentum away from Mexico.
Alvarez, a good 4, maybe 5 steps in from the bag at third. Everybody else, normal depth. How is Francois Charles Renee's speed down at first?
Very good. For a catcher and an infielder, very good.
A little pop-up is going to be trouble giving chase. The shortstop, Gomez, can't get to it, just out of his reach. So Pikeaway on for the second time. Credit him with a single. Charles Renee out to second base now, first and second for Canada. One out.
Ball right in front of Francois Charles Renee, so he had full caption of that, where that ball was landing. He's thinking about going to third base, but didn't want him to take away the inning here.
That's going to bring a visit from the skipper for Mexico. It is Ureta down on the sideline throwing. It does not appear they're going to make a pitching change at this point. Ureta throwing at sort of a leisurely pace down on the side.
It's like a soft toss there.
I think just talking about situations, how they're going to play it. First and second for Canada. It'll be Elliott at the plate. Jim Jones, the skipper, takes a moment to chat with Elliott. 3-1 Mexico, fourth inning. Canada with a golden opportunity here to climb right back in the ballgame. Shows bunt. It's to Durazo. Durazo to Gonzalez, the out recorded. So they play the bunt that time, Joe.
I'm confused. Elliott hit the ball very hard last time up the plat. Doubled into a double play, but it was a great play by Enrique Gomez at shortstop.
So second and third for Canada. A single will tie it. It's up to Pilon. Pilon reached on the infield single. It was the little nubber out in front of the plate. Fly ball, deep left field. Back is Marquez to the fence. Off his glove and over. 3-run homer for Pilon. Canada takes the lead.
The ball kept sailing and sailing and sailing.
And Marquez is down. They're going to go out and check on him. It looked like he had a play. He went back to the fence, leaned up against it. The ball hit his glove and carried over, and then he crashed into the fence in the process. So if we already have a camera down there. That is Cesar Marquez down.
Not going to guess on any injuries here. I'm no doctor, but.
So a 3-run homer for Pilon. That puts Canada up 4-3 and gets the hometown fans to their feet. But of concern right now is Cesar Marquez, still down in left field after crashing in to the left field fence.
I'm guessing he ran into the top bar on that short fence. That's what they're thinking on right now.
Well, he played it perfectly. He went as far as he could go. You could see him leaning up against the fence. He knew it was there, trying to make the catch. Put his arm over the top. It hit his glove and carried on out over the fence. All in one fell swoop. They're going to get him up now, but looks to be shaken up pretty well. They're going to take him off the field. Or not. We'll wait and see.
I'm not sure yet. I haven't seen that type of acknowledgement. I believe he just had the wind knocked out of him the way it's sounding. His chest kind of ran right into that top rail.
Victor Wong of Sports Canada TV with some more great camera work down there from the third base side. I think the upper part of the body hit at a different point in time than the lower, sort of twisting him over.
They are replacing him.
So he's up and around. Looks like he'll be okay, but limping a little bit. Looking at his hand, too, as if to say that he had slammed into it. Great effort by the left fielder, but we'll wait for the announcement on the sub. Joe, if I'm not mistaken, looks like the DP coming in. So the announcement coming in, they'll move their DP, who is Yossi Garcia, to left field. And Marquez coming off the field. 3 hits in the inning, 3 runs in on the dramatic 3-run homer, 2-out homer by Matt Pilon. The batter for Canada, Johnny Baker. Mexico tries to regroup.
It's exactly the type of inning Canada was looking for. Every other batter got a hit today in this inning. A double, a single, and now that 3-run home run by Matt Pilon.
One hopper to Gonzalez, over to Durazo, side retired, but Canada striking for 3 big runs. 3 hits, the big one, the 3-run shot by Matt Pilon. They'll take a 4-3 lead to the top half of the 5th. We'll be right back.
That's the 3rd out, which ends the 4th inning. There were 3 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. At the end of the inning, the score is Canada 4 and Mexico 3. Et voilà le 3e retrait qui termine la 4e manche. Il y avait 3 points sur 3 coups, aucune erreur et aucun coureur laissé sur les buts. À la fin de la manche, le pointage est Canada 4 et Mexique 3. Okay, it's number 2. Via
Joe, an update from Field 1 in the medal round, Japan and Australia.
It's now a final. Japan has walked away with a 12-3 victory over Australia in that 6-inning game.
So Australia, who had won 4 in a row, including a convincing win last night over Team USA, has the tables turned on them by Japan. That means Japan will wait to play the loser of the 6 p.m. game between Argentina and New Zealand. Japan was a bronze medalist here in '08. They were a silver medalist last time in 2012. And they are now among the 3 teams still standing in the medal round. A pinch hitter for Mexico, it'll be Villavicencio. And that would be in place of Cardona, I believe, Joe?
Yes, your leadoff batter.
Cardona, 2 strikeouts in the game, not what you need from your leadoff hitter. So the skipper electing to go with Villavicencio. Arnaldo Villavicencio, his first look at Marc-Andrew Villeneuve. Nice changeup from the lefty, a little bit more confidence in the body language from Team Canada, Joe.
Yeah, very more positive thoughts right now. Now they know they have to just shut the door here. Healy's been warming up, so Villeneuve's going to have to be sharp.
You know, it wasn't long ago in the game that we were looking down the sideline to Healy warming up, and Villeneuve didn't look long for the game, but came back on that 3-0 count for the strikeout, got out of the inning. His team struck back with 3.
Another hit by pitch by Villeneuve.
What's the saying? Can't stand prosperity, but it is interesting to say the least. Looks like we'll have a runner, I think, for Villavicencio. We'll try and pick his number up on that first base camera. If we can see his number.
The third hit by pitch by Villeneuve this afternoon.
So 33 out, 19 in. So Villavicencio hit by a pitch, he'll leave.
Jonathan Cardona just re-entering the game.
Cardona on the re-entry at the plate. Enrique Gomez. Tie and run aboard. Corners in, shows bunt.
Gomez loves to bunt here. Laid down 2 nice bunts in a previous game that I had.
He is the table setter for Borquez, Durazo, and Alvarez. Looking down for the signs, everybody moving, corners in. Second baseman Zaire way in. Swing and a miss on a full swing.
Hasn't got the bunt side, so he's changing sides.
Gomez switches over to the right side.
Now he's going to bunt from this side. That's being called ambidextrous.
Foul tip, and he is going to be out on strikes. So Gomez asked to get it down with 2 strikes, unable to. Cardona still stuck at first base for the batter, Heroldo Borquez. Cardona with good speed at first. Durazo on deck. He of 4 home runs in the tournament, Durazo. Throw down to first. Getting back is Cardona. Quick snap throw by Francois Charles Rene down to Johnny Baker. Good crowd here on field number 2. We can see the fans all the way down the right field line. Bleachers to my right and left full. High hopper up the middle to second and around second. Now to throw to third. Head first slide safely. He gets up. Pikeaway tries to catch him off the bag, but it's second and third for Mexico. On the single by Borquez, moving over to second on the throw.
Little bit of a bobble by Matt Pilon, allowing Cardona to take that third bag.
Cardona with pretty good speed. He looked like he was going to stop at second for a moment, and then I think he picked up the bobble. He was a couple of steps past the bag. That's going to be all for Marc-Andre Villeneuve. A good round of applause from the appreciative Canadian fans here. Good effort by the lefty. He'll give way to, that looks like Randerson, I think.
That's Tyler. No, that's Healy.
I thought I saw 72. No, that is Healy. I'm sorry. So Eric Healy will come on in place of Villeneuve, the right-hander. Joe, tell me a bit about Mr. Healy.
Healy's got a nice rise ball and a great changeup, so he'll be keeping the bats of Mexico thrown off just a little bit because he's a different style, too. You switch it from a left-hand pitcher down to a right-hand pitcher. Just a different look and got a little bit more zip on the ball than Villeneuve.
Joe, it was Healy, yes, that came into that wild USA game in the 7th inning when they rallied for 7.
That's correct, and he picked up the victory in that game.
Where is Eric from in Canada? Do you know, Joe?
Newfoundland. The boys on the rock are listening, I'm sure.
In a different time zone and a half.
9:15 out on the rock.
You lose track of what time it is here in Whitehorse.
Actually, no, it would be 9:45 out of Newfoundland.
Still looking like high noon here in Whitehorse. It's already after the 6 o'clock hour. We'll have another one at 7:30. The USA, they'll be taking on the Czech Republic in a second round consolation game. Meanwhile, 6 p.m., that double life game getting ready or already underway. New Zealand and Argentina set to go at 6. Lots of fans from Canada, including those local folks from Whitehorse, staying right here. They want to see Canada win this one. And I imagine the bleachers will empty and they'll head on over to see the two unbeatens in the double life. Here's Durazo. It is Borquez down at second base. Cardona at third with the potential tying run. So the book's still open on Marc-Andre Villeneuve. The two runners belong to him.
Healy has to shut the door if Canada wants this victory.
Swing and a miss on a rise ball, taking him up the elevator. That pitch out of the zone.
I would imagine you'll see a follow-up to that pitch.
Drop ball over to the shortstop, looks to the runner, throws to first. 2 out.
Good play by Nick Penner to look back that runner at third base. Jonathan Cardona checked him once, checked him twice, and threw a bullet over to first base.
I also thought he'd come back with a rise ball, Joe, and take him up the elevator. It was a drop, but it looked like he handcuffed Durazo, kept the ball in, and a little slow roller is all that Durazo could muster. But here is trouble at the plate. Alvarez with a homer and a double. He has scored 2 runs. And with first base open, Joe?
They're giving it's called the automatic walk here.
Not much to think about there. Alvarez doing much of the damage, responsible for 2 of the 3 Mexico runs. So the international rule, they turn to the umpire. They say, we want to walk him. No pitches thrown. For Mexico, the base is loaded. It is up to Yossi Garcia. High hopper to third. Pike away. Over to first. Side retired. Eric Healy gets the job done in the 5th inning for Canada. We'll head to the home half. Canada still up by 1, 4-3. Don't go away. You don't want to miss the end of this one. To the home half of the 5th inning we go for Mexico. They will bring in Miguel Ureta. He'll come on in relief of Aldael Olais. We talked about Ureta. We saw him, Joe, on opening day. He was our very first broadcast. He went toe-to-toe with Wemul Mata of Argentina, each of them throwing 7 scoreless until Argentina scored a run in the international tiebreaker. So he can compete with the best. He'll come on in relief of Olais. And as Canada did with Healy, perhaps time for a different look as we head to the third time through of the batting order. 9-1-2, Tyson Zaire, Tyler Pauli, and Nick Penner. And the volume goes up a couple, 3 notches for the Canadian faithful. Starting to count outs at this point in the game. Zaire, a fly ball to right field, his first trip to the plate, but that was against Olais. Ureta, a much different look. Olais with the very stylish delivery, the hands and the feet going everywhere. Ureta, much more conventional, a very good changeup. Mexico was up 3-1. They appeared to be in command, but a 2-out, 3-run homer for Matt Pilon has flipped the tables. That's where we are right now. Splits the gap and then some. That ball carries right on out of the ballpark. Home run for the 9-hitter, Tyson Zaire.
Zaire just drilled that ball. Good way to greet the new pitcher, Miguel Ureta.
He got it up sort of a 3-wood off the tee. I thought it might skip and hit the fence, and it just kept carrying. 5-3 Canada.
A big run put on the board there by Canada. It's nice when your number 9 batter can come through in the clutch and drive that ball over the fence.
So Tyson Zaire greets Ureta, his first batter, with the home run. Back to the top of the shop we go. 3rd time through for Canada. Still their first look at Ureta. Pauli, first pitch swinging, shallow in center. Cardona for the catch. Mexico, throughout the pool play, has had a habit of scoring runs late in the game. They're going to need to if they're going to win this one.
This game is far from over.
Here's Nick Penner, 1 for 2 on the day. Had a single that skipped past the shortstop in the first. That brought Pauli home for the first Canada run. His first look at Ureta. The clapping you hear, of course, the Canadian faithful. A sea of red and black over on the left side. And that one bounces. Borquez tried to smother it. Looks like it may have knocked the wind out of him. High or low, I'm not sure. He's smiling about it. couple of places there you can get the wind knocked out of you. He'll be okay. So Canada, the 3-run homer last inning from Pilon, turned the 3-1 lead to 4-3. And Tyson Zaire leading it off here in this inning with that big insurance run.
Nice changeup by Ueta there.
He has a good one. Didn't use it against Zaire.
Ueta has to, or Penner has to stay in that zone.
In for a called third strike, says our home plate umpire, David Hardage. Second out of the inning. First strikeout for Ueta. To the third spot we go, Taylor Shibata.
First strikeout for Mexico today.
Shibata doubled to lead off the fourth, and then erased on the ground out over to second base, where Gonzalez went directly to third with a throw, cutting him down. Could have been a bigger inning still, Joe, had that one not happened. Off in the distance, we hear the announcements, Argentina and New Zealand. The battle of the double life teams. The loser of that game will face Japan. Canada 6 outs away from moving on to the consolation final tomorrow. Hard one to left over in the corner. It's going to be foul.
Ueta had 4 game starts for Mexico, 19 innings pitched, 16 strikeouts and only 7 walks. Good ratio there, walks to strikeouts.
Very good command of his pitches. High pop-up, shallow. It'll be right fielder, and no, it drops in. It looks like Ortega lost it in the sun. Enrique Gonzalez started back on it, and then it looked like Ortega's ball coming in. He just never picked it up.
Never picked it up at all. Need a little bit better communication. That center fielder has to be guiding him. He's got a little bit of line on that sun.
So scored as a single, but tough luck for Mexico. Skipper Jim Jones comes down to give David Hardage a change. It looks like we'll have a runner.
Zach McKay will be going into run for Taylor Shibata.
So, Joe, you mentioned Shibata, normally a catcher. So giving way to better speed in the form of Zach McKay. Skipper Jim Jones already with an insurance run courtesy of the Tyson Zaire homer. Looks to add one more, puts a bit of speed over at first. The batter for Canada, Francois Charles Rene. Nice block by Borquez at the plate.
Taking a beating back there this inning. Catchers and goalies, I don't know what they're made of. Something different.
Leftover parts from shin guards and everything else. High fly ball, deep right field. Ortega back near the fence, makes the catch.
This time he got a good line on that sun.
So for Canada in the fifth, they score 1 run on 2 hits, the big one off the bat of Tyson Zaire. To the top half of the sixth we go. Canada on top, 5-3. We'll be right back for more from Whitehorse. Top half of the sixth inning from Mexico for Canada. A couple of changes in the lineup. Shibata re-enters the game but comes back behind the plate to catch. And his counterpart, Francois Charles Rene, now taking his spot in left field. For Mexico, it is 7-8-9, starting with Cesar Marquez. Eric Healy on in relief of Francois Charles Rene. Marc-Andre Villeneuve. Both from the same province, different positions. Sorry, folks. It was Marquez in the fourth, trading places with Alvarez, double-double, resulting in that third run for Mexico. Right now, Healy behind 3-0 on Marquez. Not the way you want to start the sixth inning. 3-1. Grounder to second. Nice defensive play, moving over to his right. He does it with the bat. He does it with the glove. Tyson Zaire.
Nice backhand there by Tyson Zaire. Record that first out, that key first out.
The batter for Mexico, Enrique Gonzalez. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Strikeout and a grounder to third. Third baseman Pikeaway in about 5 steps. Showing bunt is Gonzalez. On deck is Ortega. Mexico would like to get to the big 3 or 4. Borquez, Durazio, and Alvarez. Pikeaway coming, corners closing, swing and a miss.
Gonzalez is just taking his eye off that ball. If you're going to bunt, stay in the strike zone or the batter's box. Get that ball down.
Foul tip just out of the hands of Shibata. Winds up between his knees. A little between the legs dribble or something.
Try the glove, boy.
Grounder through the 5.5 hole. Gonzalez rounds first and stays put. 1 out single for Gonzalez. That'll bring up Candelario Ortega. Ortega with a double back in the third, but that was against Villeneuve. One of 3 doubles in the game by Mexico. Showing bunt, corners in. Everybody moving. Down 2. Ortega represents the tying run.
Healy has to throw strikes. The job of a reliever is to come in the game, throw some strikes, keep the ball low. Let your defense play for you. There's no defense against a walk. It's 2 batters in a row now that he's gone late in the count. Green light for Candelario Ortega. They're taking that pitch. Going to see if Healy can come back with that strike.
Hard one to inside the line. It's fair. Over to second, now coming on to third. The throw is late, sliding in safely head first is Gonzalez, and Ortega now at first base representing the potential tying run.
Ortega hit the ball hard down that third base line. Just surprised Curtis Pike away.
Well, Canada doing a good job of getting the ball back in. Ortega, I expected would wind up at second base. He's got great speed, but as the tying run, you certainly don't want to be thrown out by trying to stretch it too far.
Well, I'm sure you're getting instructions, too, from your first base coach. Don't want to run yourself out of an inning.
Throw a rope around him.
Especially with the top of the order coming up here now.
Well, to the top of the order, it's been the 1-2 spots that have been a weaker spot of the Mexico offense. Cardona 2 strikeouts and a hit by pitch. Actually, the hit by pitch was Villavicencio, but it's Cardona who re-entered the game.
Good scoop there by Shibata.
So a key spot in the game for Canada, holding on to a 2-run lead. Bunt is down in front of the plate. The runner scores. No play. Nobody picks it up. Mexico catches him napping.
Nice bunt single there by Jonathan Cardona with the suicide squeeze on. Enrique Gonzalez comes in to score.
Over to second on the play is Ortega. He is the tying run. 5-4 Canada.
Again, just a communication gap. Healy has to be talking. The catcher, Shibata, has to be giving some instructions. Who's got the ball? Who's fielding it? You got it. I got it. Didn't hear anything.
The batter, Enrique Gomez, a spot when maybe some clubs would think about hitting for him. 2 strikeouts in the game, but that tremendous up-the-middle defense, you can't. Or are they hitting someone for him?
Cesar Godoy.
I spoke too soon. I guess my mind was thinking pinch hitter if I was managing, but I guess there is no tomorrow. So Cesar Godoy in to hit. Shows bunt, pulls back, everybody moving. So put Godoy in the 2 spot for Enrique Gomez. With the re-entry, of course, he's back in there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Infielders in, full swing. It was Canada that struck first, and then Mexico back with 3. It was 3-1. The 3-run homer by Pilon, 4-3. Tyson Zaire, another homer, 5-3. And then now a run here, 5-4.
Healy coming back with a little bit of rhythm now, starting to throw a few more strikes to these Mexican batters.
Tyler Randerson throwing on the sidelines for Canada, but right now it's Healy. Strike 3 called, and Godoy left standing at the plate.
Big strikeout by Healy.
Inserted as a pinch hitter for Gomez, who had struck out twice. So in the 2 spot for Mexico, 3 strikeouts across the board. They are to the part of the batting order they want up there. But now with 2 outs. And they're going to
issue the automatic
walk
walk.
Borges.
The ABB on your book.
So interesting move there. Loads the bases. Puts the tying run at third. The go-ahead run at second. I suppose the thinking is Borquez with the better bat, at least today. Durazo is the one batter that they seem to have handled.
Pulled the ball 3 times, twice to third base, once to shortstop. So
nothing hit too hard by Durazo, though. I think that's probably the thinking. But Jim Jones of Canada rolling the dice here. Joe, your take on that, putting the tie and run over?
I'm fine with it. I like that play. It's going to create a force play at any bag now. It's going to make it a lot easier on your infielder, so I don't mind that.
Puts a lot of pressure on your catcher, too, though.
Yep.
All the wild pitch pass balls we've seen.
Healy's had good control since he's been in the game.
Not my call. Bases loaded, Mexico. Down by a run.
Now the big thing is Healy has to throw strikes and keep the ball low. Give your infielders a chance to field that ball. Nothing can be up in the letters to Durazio.
High fly ball, deep right field. Back to the fence. Gone! 3-run homer for Daniel Durazo. They walked the bases loaded to, grand slam to get to him. And with one swing of the bat, Mexico on top.
Durazio took that ball the other way, drove that ball. The ball kept sailing and sailing, went over Tyler Pauli's glove, and Pauli had no play on that ball.
Well, Joe, I thought it was a big risk. Durazio had 4 homers in the tournament. He was the tournament leader in that department along with the mighty Masmu. Lots of pop off his bat. He hadn't shown it today, but he hadn't faced Healy.
Well, it's going to be one that they're going to talk about tonight, I'm sure.
So a 5-4 lead for Canada has turned to an 8-5 lead for Mexico.
A big turnaround there.
And you can hear the wind from the sails. The boat to calm seas.
4 hits this inning for Mexico.
Randerson still throwing on the sideline for Canada, but a batter too late. 5 home runs in the tournament for Durazo.
Alvarez doing a good job at the plate with a home run and a double and an automatic walk back in the 5th inning.
And now a walk to Alvarez. The inning started with a ground out to second base. Next 3 batters reaching base, but a big strikeout by Healy against the pinch hitter Godoy. Looked to have Canada on the verge of getting out of trouble. With runners at first and second, skipper Jim Jones elects to walk the bases loaded. They pitch to Durazo, and the result 4 runs. Yossi Garcia is at the plate, the 9th batter in the inning for Mexico. Good changeup by Healy. If you are a fan of Canada looking ahead to the 6th, they'll send up 5, 6, and 7. Pikaway, Elliott, and Pilon, who has that 3-run homer. Canada was 5 outs away from moving on to the consolation final. Now Mexico 6 outs away. Hard grounder to second, over to first. Side retired. For Mexico, the big one, the grand slam by Durazo, 8-5, Mexico over Canada. We'll be right back for the home half of the 6th.
Aucune erreur et un coureur laissé sur les buts. Avec le pointage, Mexique 8 et Canada 5. Leading off for Canada, premier battant pour le Canada, numéro 24, number 24, third base, troisième but.
For Canada, 5, 6, 7, Pikaway, Elliott, and Pilon as they try and climb back in. Stunned by the grand slam home run off the bat of Daniel Durazo. It's been a game of lead changes, though. Canada went on top. Mexico took the lead. Canada took it back, and Mexico returns the favor in a big way. It's a 7-inning game. Still time for Canada.
Canada needs another big inning again.
It is Miguel Ureta who came on in relief of Aldael Olais. He was greeted last inning by the 9-hitter Tyson Zaire, blasting one out of the ballpark. Settled down after that to get out of the 5th.
Pikaway fooled on that changeup by Ueta.
Joe, we've talked about it during the week. Mexico with a propensity to score runs late. It was a 6-1 lead the USA had going into the 6th. They struck back to tie the game. Wound up losing to the USA, but they can score runs in bunches. Little roller out to second. 4-3 on the scorecard. Almost automatic when the ball is hit to the middle infielders, Gomez and Gonzalez for Mexico. Pikaway retired, 1 out in the inning. That'll bring up Josh Elliott. Elliott with a ground out and a nice sacrifice back in that big 4th inning for Canada. So now Ureta going 3-0.
These relief pitchers have to come in and throw strikes.
Ureta usually able to do so. Good command. not in a position where he has to be too fine. You think he would just come right at the hitters here. He does.
Back to a full count now on Elliott.
Joe, you know the bench for Canada better than I. Who's left over there if needed as a pinch hitter for skipper Jim Jones? Who's most likely? Ball hit into the hole. Gomez gets a glove on it, but that's all. Infield single for Josh Elliott.
Simon Bedard Desmarais has got a lot of big hits this week so far, so he'd probably be your number one call.
Well, I can tell you one player he won't hit for, and that's Matt Pilon. Pilon 2 for 2 on the day. The big hit back in that fourth, a 3-run homer. That flipped the tables on Mexico at the time, gave Canada the lead. They will need another big inning, down 3. Right sun in Whitehorse. Ortega in right field looking right up into it. Fielded by Durazo. He goes to second, gets the lead runner. Durazo, a big fella, but moving like a cat, makes the right play, gets the leader on the fielder's choice. Pilon at first, 2 out.
Good play by Durazo. He does it with the bat, he does it with the glove.
Well, it doesn't hurt to have the likes of the Enriquez out there, Gomez and Gonzalez. They get to the bag, you know they're going to get to the ball. And Jim Jones going to the bench. Looks like Justin Baker will get the nod as the pinch hitter for Canada.
Justin Boyer.
Excuse me, Boyer. Boyer or Boyer?
Boyer. Boyer. Boyer.
So Boyer on to hit for Johnny Baker. Baker had been 0 for 2. Both of those were against Olais. Canada running out of outs at this point, down 3. Good block by Borquez. I think Borquez is going to spend some time in the jacuzzi tonight, Joe.
Yeah, if he doesn't have one, the team will get him one.
Or find one in town. Borquez, one of the good young backstops we've seen here in Whitehorse. Tyler Boulay, of course, of the USA, another, having himself a whale of a tournament. They'll be up here at 7:30 tonight, taking on the Czech Republic. That broadcast will follow this one. And if this one keeps going at this pace, Joe, we may just
that might be a 7:45 one or an 8 o'clock one.
Roll right into it. No coffee, no break. But I'll tell you, we've had 2 great games today. This one a seesaw battle. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Into the hole in right field, around second, on his way to third. So pinch hitter Boyer doing what the skipper asks. Runners at first and third. And Tyson Zaire with a home run representing the potential tying run. That will bring a visit from the skipper for Mexico, Horacio Berrones.
Zaire was the first batter that faced Ueta back in the bottom of the 5th inning, the leadoff batter.
You know, as a pitcher, Joe, and someone greets you that way, hits a home run off you as you come into the game, not easy to forget, but Berrones wanting to make sure, I think that's the discussion.
Yeah, just be a reminder call here.
Or
what did you throw him? What did you get beat on? Make sure you don't throw that pitch again. Don't hang a pitch.
He's the tie and run. You don't put him on second base open, but that's not the play.
No. especially with 2 down here.
And the first and third 2-out situation brings the Canadian faithful back to life. You hear the clapping on both sides of the backstop. Zare 1 for 2, the homer. The only at-bat he's had against Ureta, the other against the starter Olais.
Zare has a good eye at the plate. Zare, a Tavistock, Ontario native, not too far away from my hometown.
Rafael Alvarez coming over from third to whisper a word to his pitcher Ureta. Maybe a little too fine, I think he's saying. Just go at him. The defense, as we said, sun in the eyes of the right fielder. It has been a factor already today. That's Ortega out there. Missing again, 3-1. So Ureta in danger of putting the tying run aboard with the dangerous Tyler Polai next. So we go full.
Big part of the game right here for Team Canada. You're not only going to have so many opportunities, you do not want to squander them.
Grounder foul. We'll do it again. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 2 runners aboard for Canada, chasing a 3-run deficit.
A ball just came over from diamond 1 and just missed the third baseman. Very lucky.
So a key spot for Canada in this one. Tyson Zare at the plate. Full count. Pop up. Back comes Borquez. Out number 3. Ureta escapes the 6th with the lead. 8-5 Mexico will go to the 7th. So to the 7th we go for Mexico. They escaped the 6th inning with their 3-run lead intact. Canada able to bring the tying run to the plate, but unable to cash in. A couple left stranded. You saw Team Mexico huddled over on the first base side at the end of that inning, trying to fire each other up. Joe, your microphone's dragging.
You have a new pinch hitter, 20, Carlos Marquez, going into the game.
So Carlos Marquez will step in to hit. And Joe, we are at what spot in the order? Make sure I've got my card updated.
I believe we're at number 7. He's batting for Cesar Marquez.
And he bobbles it, picks it up, comes back in time. Smiling about it now. Easier when the out is made. Usually pretty steady hands out there. Just looked, I think, to the runner, took his eye off it for a moment. But it is Carlos Marquez, the pinch hitter, retired on the 4-3 putout. That takes us to
Enrique Gonzalez.
Mexico, of course, would like to pad that lead, but no doubt thinking ahead to the 7th with a 3-run lead, just needing 3 outs. The winner moving on to the consolation final tomorrow. They will take on the winner of the 7:30 game tonight, USA and the Czech Republic. We'll have that one live here right after this one, about 35 minutes away. Hard one to second. Nice play by Tyson Zaire. Another nifty defensive play. Has good range to his right. We've seen it twice already today.
Good defensive play by Tyson.
For Mexico, to the 9 spot we go, Candelario Ortega. Ortega with a single and double today. The double against the lefty Villeneuve. If you are a Canadian fan, and there are plenty watching and following, it'll be the top of the order, Paul Penner and Shibata right back to Healy, over to first. An easy 1-2-3 inning for Eric Healy of Canada. To the 7th we go. They're down to their final 3 outs. The score 8-5 Mexico. Don't go away. We'll be right back for the 7th. Home half of the 7th we go. Ureta back in the circle, but looking down the right field line, if we can get a camera down the right field line, number 22. Audael Olais, the starter in this one, is back up and throwing just in case, I presume. He was the starter, gave way at the midway point to Ureta, but is back up and throwing. Top of the order we go. Home half of the 7th inning, Tyler Pauli. Pauli 1 for 3 on the day. First pitch swing and a single to right field. He's got 2 hits on the day.
Good start for Canada. They need base runners, not just 1-2.
Pauli, the engine that makes the offense go. He was aboard in the first, came around to score the first run. But, Joe, that was such a long time ago.
Almost 2 hours now, but it's been a good ball game.
Nick Penner steps in. Penner 1 for 3 on the day. He drove in Tyler Pauli back in the first. Second time facing Ureta. He was a strikeout victim back in the 5th. Taking a called third strike. Mexico needing just 3 outs. They'll count them. They'll trade a run for an out, no doubt, if that situation arises. Canada needing a big inning here.
Penner has a good eye at the plate. Need a You need a bloop, a bleep, and a blast.
Joe, we were going to report a 0-0 score in that Argentina-New Zealand game, but I see an update coming in.
1-0 for Argentina now in the top of the third inning.
That is the battle of the double life teams. The loser plays Japan. The winner straight to the final tomorrow. Right at the third baseman, Alvarez. He spears it, fires to Durazo. Not in time to get Pauley, but one out, one big out for Mexico.
Good punch there by Penner, but not able to get past that tough corner of Rafael Alvarez.
The defense of Mexico once again comes into play. Hard hit ball by Penner. The batter, Taylor Shibata. Shibata 2 for 3 on the day, a single and a double. The single came last time against Ureta back in that fifth. Canada reached this game. It's a second round game off an 11-1 victory this morning over Singapore. Mexico, their first game in consolation, they earned a bye on their sixth place finish. Deep to left field. See ya. That one into the trees. Taylor Shibata has trimmed the lead to 1. Joe?
Big power hit by Shibata. Good clutch hit. Just drove that ball by Ueta over the fence there, giving Canada another life here.
That brings the fans here in Canada to their feet. What a game we've had here. 8-7 Mexico. And I think we're going to see Olais again. You know, Joe, it's tempting in this kind of a situation. You only need a couple of outs. You sure don't want to walk anybody. And I think the temptation sometimes come right at him to the point where it's too much plate. And Taylor Shibata just jumped all over that one.
Shibata's been their big power hitter all week, coming through with a big clutch 2-run home run here in the top of the seventh inning.
Well, the Canadian fans that are skipping the Argentina-New Zealand game to watch this one are being rewarded every time you turn around. Pilon with a homer, Zaire with a homer, now Shibata, and Canada within striking distance. One out in the inning. Francois Charles René tries to reset the rally. I thought we'd see Olais. He is back in the dugout. It is Ureta's game, at least at this point. Ureta with very good control. As Joe mentioned, great strikeout to walk ratio, 4-1. So at the moment, he's their guy. Deep to right field in the sun, Ortega over to his left, 2 outs. Joe, I think we were talking about what was the best game we saw in pool play. I think this is the best game I've seen all week.
The overall but good offense, good defense here, some sharp plays on defense by both teams, and some great momentum builders back and forth.
If I had a seat in this ballpark, I wouldn't leave it, and I'm not. Curtis Pikeaway, last hope for Canada, down by 1. Ureta looking for that final out. Winner moving on to the Conso final tomorrow. The loser eliminated.
Pikeaway shouldn't try to do too much here. Just look for that base hit. Josh Elliott, the designated player on deck for Canada.
A confident-looking Curtis Pikeaway at the plate, enjoying the moment. Great camera work by Sports Canada TV. Two balls.
Way up in the count now. You got a chance to be selective with the pitch you're going after now.
Josh Elliott scheduled to hit next. Back with a 3-1 strike. Curtis Pikeaway at the plate. Ureta, 3-1 pitch. Ball 4.
Good time at the plate for Curtis Pikeaway there. To have the patience to outwait Ueda.
Good at bat by Pikeaway, looking very confident, worked the walk. He now represents the tying run. And now it is Josh Elliott's turn. Elliott 1 for 2, an infield single, had a sacrifice, but none of that matters right now.
Ueda really struggling out there, so all Team Canada has to do is just sit back, be patient. Let for Ueda to float one in here.
As Joe noted, 16 strikeouts in the tournament, only 4 walks, but he's hit a bump in the road here.
David Hardage from the United States, the blue umpire behind the plate there, doing a great job at the plate today.
Mexico 1 out away. Canada 1 run from tying it. High fly ball looks playable. Cardona in center. Mexico wins an exciting 8-7 ball game. Canada comes up 1 run short. They made a run at him. They trimmed the 8-5 lead to 8-7. It'll be Mexico in the final for the consolation bracket tomorrow. They'll take on the winner of the USA and the Czech Republic. That one's slated to begin in just 25 minutes at 7:30 Pacific. For Joe Todd, for Lance Wynn, Kyle Smith, I'm Jim Flanagan. From the Ballpark Radio broadcast crew and all of the folks doing the real work on Sports Canada TV. We'll be back at 7:30 with one more broadcast, one more game. Mexico moving on.